Okay, let's turn that off. There we go. Right, so today I'm going to carry on. I thought I'd just quickly introduce you to, I'm going to move it out of the way a minute. This little thing here is to allow me to charge all my batteries when I'm on site. Don't bring it out that often, but I'm going to need to have quite a bit of power and quite a bit of light in here today. So effectively what we've got is we've got a 50 amp hour battery here and a real sine wave 2000 watt power inverter. Now basically when you see these big power station packs that electricians use, this is basically what's in there. I've just got it like this. Used to use these for other things, so I thought, well, rather than paying out over £1,000 on a power block, this does the job for me. I only use it for charging batteries. I don't use it for I have actually used this for keeping a fridge running, and it will keep a 230 volt fridge running for about 3 hours. No, that's not bad going. I'm really happy with that. It allows me to keep a fridge freezer running for a little while. It allows me a bit more time when I've got power off in someone's house. But all this is, like I say, it's a power inverter by Do Power. Like I say, it's 2000 watt. It's a 2000 watt inverter and a 50 amp battery, 50 amp hour battery. Now, not the most, as I say, it's not the most powerful thing in the world, but it does allow me to. I'm keeping my light charged, as you can probably see in the background, and I'm charging one of my camera batteries as well. Quite happy. Behind it, you probably can't see it, but it's telling me the battery charge there and the output. When this drops below a certain voltage, it automatically cuts out, so it's not going to flatten that battery. So I thought I'd take you through that very quickly. Here we go again, and as usual, things are not going according to plan already. So let's turn that off. We don't need it on. So that's attached onto there. They've all set off. That's great. As I said, that neutral wire's got to come back up. It's not going down there. Now what I'm going to do is, like I did with the floodlighting, is the earth, the CPC, sorry. I'm going to Wago off in that box, send an earth line, send a CPC down, and then continue the CPC on from there. That saves you running 2 CPCs up and down that cable. So in that cable will only be the line, a CPC, and then a switch line coming back, which will be the grey one, which I'll do. So we're going to do that and bring that down. Now I've come across another problem. This job is problems after problems. This light is great, and as you can see we've got a 20mm opening. However, as I've now discovered, the nuts to fit the connectors, the 20mm connectors, doesn't actually fit. So you can only use female connectors. Sorry, not female. Male connectors, not female ones, sorry. But of course that gives me a problem because I'm doing flexible conduit, which are male, I agree, but I can't use the ones that they're supplied because I can't use the nuts. So you're following this. So let me show you what I've done. So on the end of this flexible type pipe, flexible conduit, as you can see, I've added on a connector with a round nut. Does it all make sense? It's early in the morning for me. Anyway, so that's what I've had to do. I've had to glue that into place and then use that, because that's the only way that's going to connect into that light fitting. Even if I was using standard conduit, it wouldn't work because a nut wouldn't turn. So, bit of a design flaw there. There's not enough room to turn nuts in that. Yeah, that's a real, yet another problem I've come up with. As I say, it's a challenge, this job, but good grief. I've had some challenges in my time, but this takes the biscuit, it really does. Every little thing I'm doing is actually a problem to be solved. But I'm hoping then maybe this will be of use to someone somewhere if they come across these multitude of problems I'm coming up with. This is how I'm solving them. So there you go. I'm hoping you're going to see this. But I am going to ferrule the ends of these cables because they are obviously stranded, and I think that they just give a better connection. So all ferrules are actually colour coded. There we go. That should be right. That's on there. So they're all colour coded ferrules. So the blue ones are for 2.5mm cables, and I've got ones going up all the way up to, let's see on that sheet there. See it there? I've got them all the way up to 10mm actually. Yeah, all the way up to 10mm. So there's a train of thought as to whether you should do it or you shouldn't do this. I just think it looks neater. I think it gives a better contact. Than just having it as stranded, because obviously you can't double them over. So there's the, where are we now? There's the 20. Neutral in the front, live in the back. So I'm just trying to see them. Neutral in the front. I'm not going to tighten these up properly at the moment, and that's too big. So they're in. So I just think they look better. I mean, interested to know what other people think, whether they would ferrule all these things, but I just think they look good. I just think they do the business, to be honest. So let's just take the earth out for that, and then you get that filled as well. As you can see what's happened to that. I don't know if you can probably see that, but look at that, it's flattened it completely. So let's try and get that in there. In fact, yeah, that should be, no, that's a, I've forgotten what that one is. Did I run a 1 point? No, I ran a 1.5. I know you can run 2.5s in singles for the CPC, but I've run a 1.5. And a 1.5 is black, in fact. That's in there. Just put that around the back. Right, so that's the, I will double check all my readings. Now I've done the ferruling on them, I will double check that everything is fine. Make sure there is a good contact there, make sure there's a good contact here. But that should be it. So that's what I normally do. I normally ferrule them when I'm doing this now. Didn't used to, but now I just feel when I'm using stranded cables, I just think it looks better. I mean, I know, you know, these are solid, these cables, and they're from the RCBOs, so I won't bother with those. I don't need to, or with that either, really. But I will bother with the others. Right, there we go. So that's the board. So on the continuing, done as far as we can get at the moment, obviously. So we've got the, nothing's tightened up properly in here yet. I've just got them in there now and trying to do it neat and tidy, which is not easy with these, the fly leads from the RCBOs. I don't want to cut them short. That's the last thing I want to do, so I need to find a way of actually making those a little bit neater and tidier. So obviously the main incomings are going to come through this here and come up somewhere around here. I can't do that today because it's still bloody pouring over rain. So anyway, so the lighting circuit's now in, the socket circuit's in. Next thing I'm going to do, just above here, I'm going to secure this to the wall, this piece of flexi conduit, tidy up at the other end so it's nice and neat and tidy, and then we'll work out how we're going to cut these lights together. Right then, so this is the state of that T up there. Now that Wago needs to be a 3, not a 2, I've realised. So just a 3-way. So all the cables now run, and I'll show you what I've done with the light switch in a second. Now I'm just going to cut. Oh, I've left my thing behind. Give me a second. Right, so what we've got up here, wow, what we've got up here now is that 2-way is going to come off because we don't need that. Let's take that off. Notice I haven't ferruled these. I found ferrules tend to foul the Wagos and they don't make a good connection. So I don't use ferrules too much with Wagos. They cause a few issues. So I'm just going to get that and then just trim this down a bit. Put that trim to there, like that. Strip it with this. The good thing about this is it actually strips it to the right length. With that, right there. Right, let's get this Wago on, and then that gives me all of that all the way through. On there, on there. On there, there we go. Right, so that's the earth, CPC rather, sorry, continuous all the way from the consumer unit all the way over to the light. Yes, I'm seeing this behind me, this is not good. I'm going to have to put another one of those up, and that needs to be attached as well, but I'm not going to attach these until I've finished doing the wiring on here. So if you can see there's the line, permanent line that's going down to the switch. Neutral, going nowhere near the switch, you're going straight to the light, and the grey cable which is here is the switch line, which I'm going to sleeve brown. So down at switch. Right, so just trim that line cable back. Let's get the tools together. So I'll trim the line back. Up there, and I'll trim that off the end there, we don't really want that anymore. Right, now obviously we've got to earth the back box, so I'm going to need a small length of cable to do that. Probably doing the job. So we'll strip that off. Right, we need to cut these down, so I need to sleeve that grey. I've got some brown sleeving. So I'll just sleeve that over the top of that, so brown sleeving. It's a nice snug fit over that. Doesn't need to be big, just big enough so that you can see that this is a switch line, and that bit I'll put on the other end. Right, so just cut these down. That lines, that CPC is probably still a bit on the wrong side actually. Just cut that down to about there. I do like to leave a bit of length, so if they need to be worked on at any later date, it's easier to work on them. Just the switch line. There we go. So the permanent line goes into the COM. The switch line, which is this one, will go into L1. We're not using L2, so we're going into COM and obviously the CPC goes into the back of the socket. Just get that, just undo that, undo that, and L1, that's L2, we'll put it into L1. There we go. So both these CPCs have to go into this. So that means that we've actually earthed both. And they're always a fun, tight fit. There we go, they're in. There we go, so they're in. So line into the common, which is the top. Yeah, which is the top. You'll find out if it's got the wrong way up, because the light switch will work the opposite way around than what it's supposed to. Now that, I'll cut that a little bit long. Let's trim that back a bit. That's nice and neat in there now. So we'll just connect that up. There we go. And then we'll stick the switch line, which you'll probably also cut too long. Yeah. I have cut that too long. Look at that. So we'll just cut that down a little bit. See if that fits nicely into that now. Yeah, no copper showing on that. I wish to put all the screws the same way up rather than you have to turn the blade light switch upside down. Anyway, oh, hang on, did I say that was L? Was that label saying? One more. Needs to be in the other one. Make sure you look at the labels when you're doing light switches, make sure they are going into the right one. In this case we're using L1. Okay, so that's in, those wires are in, so now we can get that. Let's just double check that's all nice and tight, which it is. Push it in, it's fine. Right, so that's that light switch done. We've got the... Right, let's get this light done. So line, switch line, just double check. CPC into the earth, neutral into the neutral, and there's holes left. There are actually extra holes left on this one for loops, so I can actually loop the lines out that way as well. So they're in, so that's done. So you need absolutely pouring hard outside, which means I can't do what I wanted to do outside. So I think what I can do now, get the saddles on into place where I need them. So one above the light switch I think is all I'm going to need there. An extra one here I think I'm going to need, and one over there. So 1, 2, 3 more saddles on this, then that completes all of this, and that's done. Then I need to work out how I'm going to get the power from this light to the other light. So all the hardware and the wiring at this end of the room is all done now, so all the wiring into the socket's done. The Flexicon to make it be a little bit neater, I know Flexicon you can't really make really neat and tidy, but you can make the best of it and make sure it's secure. So we've done all that. That's all the way along there. All the lighting is done to there. That needs to be extended out down to the other end of the room. Come back. You see that, put the cover on that T-piece, that needs to be put on. And we've got all the way along there. That's been done as well. Down to the board. Grey box to the outside world. Other one down to the sockets. And all the sockets done all the way down. All the way down to the end down there. So that is all that work done. Now we just need to get the other light up. Well, we've got the other light up at the other end of the room. We just need to find a way of neatly connecting this one to the other one, and then we can work on the outside, which I still can't do because it's still pouring up with rain. Right, I just thought I'd show everything off. Now I've got the cover of the light back on. By the way, in case anyone is wondering, yes, that light is like that, and the reason for that is the beam is like that. There's nothing I can do about that whatsoever. The beam itself isn't straight, like everything else in this building. This job has been a challenge, and I've had to make some adaptations and all sorts. So I thought I'd get a bit closer so you can see how I've done this. You can see a normal PVC connector there. That's been glued into that flexible connector there. Then I come along here, and then on the T-piece. So you can see all three of those are all glued into place. Into those, so that all works really nicely. Come across here, that isn't glued into place. The Flexicon connector is screwed into the PVC connector for the straight piece, and exactly the same has occurred there. Okay, works well. It's tight. It's not coming undone. It's worked really well. Now whether thread sizes are identical right across every manufacturer, I don't know, or whether it's just pure fluke that I got these two threads were exactly the same. I've no idea. So yes, it's worked for me, and what I'll do is I'll put down in the description who it was I got all these parts from, because I know these fit together. I can't guarantee that different manufacturers will fit together, so just bear that in mind. But I'll put down where I got these parts from, because these work. The flexible conduit and the attachments, they were all got from Toolstation, that I do remember. I can't remember if the PVC connectors came from Screwfix or Toolstation. I cannot remember, but I'll put it down in the description. There we go. Right, so I've got to think about how we're going to do this light. So I was going to go outside, but now I'm not going to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay a PVC conduit along the top of that piece of boarding you can see there, which is the worktop. And then we're going to come along here, and then just, here we go, there's the lighting view now. So from the end of the light, flexible conduit to the wall, then hard 20mm PVC conduit along here. I think somewhere about there-ish there'll be a connector, and then come along to the end, and then Flexicon onto the light. I think that is the neatest and nicest solution. So that is what I'm going to do. We'll come back to you in a moment when I've done it. So I had to use flexible conduit on this bit because I forgot. Of course, if I come around this side, I dropped the level of this light, which I think it was way lower than the main beam. Knew it. Try and do this on camera and it goes wrong. That is a dog's dinner. I'm not happy with that. Absolute dog's dinner.